We're live. Hello. How are you guys tonight? We are doing good here. You don't have to check to.
I just want to get the chat started.
Oh, gotcha.
Get this party started.
Get the party started. Okay.
You know, the biggest news I heard this week was that there was a number of home burglars and other such folks that are filing for unemployment right now.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, because they're out of work because everybody's home. All right, so there's your joke for tonight.
So what's keeping you all busy while we're waiting for some people to join us? What's keeping you all busy? We are.
Yeah, who is on? Can we see who's on?
No, we don't get to see who's on.
Oh, somebody clicked off already.
Yeah.
Come back.
Heather Finch is on. Hi there.
Hey.
Just realize that if you are chatting, everybody in the world can see you. So this is not a safe, confidential forum, but I'm glad you're here. Hi, Christy. Hi, Lori. Good to have you guys. We have been isolated together, which is, always good for marriage, isn't it, honey?
Oh, yeah.
We're loving each other, though, through it all.
Cody Jess has been working on home projects.
Nice.
All right, yeah.
Yep. We've been working. Mike's been able to work from home. I've been able to work from home. Mark is here. Hi, Mark. Hi, John.
Yeah, my sales team at MZ, we organized last week a webinar for our clients and spent all the week inviting people to come to a webinar. And we had like 690 people sign up for it. So that was pretty cool. Had people from all over the country that were on that. That was yesterday.
Yep. Tammy says that being close-knit is intense fellowship. Yeah. That's right. Hi, Ben. How you doing? Good to have you. Good deal. We got 18 people. Nice.
All right. Well, maybe. Well, it's 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
I mean, we're getting close here. Maybe
we're getting close. A few more people.
When it hits 7:01, we'll get rolling.
Hi, Uni.
Hey, Uni.
Denise needs a link.
Uh-oh.
Okay. I just texted it to somebody else. Okay. Keep them entertained.
Oh, yeah, okay. Let's just keep you entertained. All right. Okay, that's right. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
here we are.
Yeah, what's our thing here?
Okay. Welcome to
Celebrate Recovery Online
Live, which is not really Celebrate Recovery, but it's recovery meeting.
It's recovery meeting. And my name is Mike.
So, my
I'm a
name's
grateful
Sherry.
believer in the Lord, and I struggle with substances, and I have victory over alcohol, pornography, and gambling.
There you go. And my name is Sherry, and I am a grateful believer in Jesus, and I struggle with workaholism and have victory over anger issues.
And hello, Taisha,
Hi, Taisha.
and Thomas. Good to have
you.
you. We're just getting started.
Yeah. All right. Welcome to tonight. We're going to go over what our purpose. So when we do get to go back to Celebrate Recovery and have our regular meetings, we read this. So our purpose here at CR is to encourage community and to celebrate God's healing power in our lives as we work our way along the road to recovery. We are changed by becoming willing to accept God's grace and forgiveness in solving our life's problems. By working through the 8 principles in a 12-step format, we grow spiritually and are free from our hurts, habits, and hang-ups. If you have recently started to attend CR and then you can't anymore, and you felt a bit out of place, we want you to know to encourage you to hang in there. I think I always like to encourage people to come 6 times before you bail. And because anytime you go someplace new, it's always awkward. And so come 6 times and see if it's for you. You'll know by then if it is or not. And lastly, if you continue to come and do your best to engage before long, like many of us, Friday night at CR will be one of the highlights of your week. And boy, I've been missing it.
I have been too.
Yeah. So we will hopefully get back to doing that one day.
All right, so announcements.
Okay, I have a couple of announcements. First of all, we had advertised that Joe was going to do his testimony tonight, and as life would have it, his work got the better of him this week. So we are planning on having him do his testimony next week. So
hey, Jeff.
Tune into that. Hi, Jessica.
So Joe is doing his testimony next week, and we apologize for false advertising.
Yeah, kind of, but you know.
Hi, Marianne. Hello,
hey.
Denise. Denise made it. Woo.
Hey. All right. So the second announcement that I have is we already have step studies that are going, that are doing it on Zoom at the 8 o'clock hour on Zoom. And so next week, Mike is going to lead a open share group for men, and I'm going to lead an open share group for women on Zoom. And so if you would like to be a part of that, go ahead and send me an email to my email address, which I'm going to put right here. It's exec.director@projecthopeidaho.org. Okay. And we'll get a group of us who aren't in step studies together at the 8 o'clock hour next week.
Yeah, we're still trying to figure out the technology in terms of breaking up into Zoom groups and that sort of thing. So, 31 people on now. I think Yay. Laura just got on, and hi, Lisa, and Jeff,
hi
and George and Monty. How
Yay.
you doing?
Good deal.
Great to have you all.
Okay.
All right, so that's the announcement. So, yeah, we're going to try to do open share groups, which hopefully that'll work out. Mm-hmm. And Joe's testimony is going to be next week. Okay, so this is the big chip party.
Yay! And John Jackshaw made it.
Hey
John.
JJ.
Hey JJ. Yes. So if you have any time whatsoever, and you would like to celebrate it, why don't you go ahead and put that in the chat?
And you're willing to type it in.
Yep. You don't have to say what it's for, but
hey Anthony, good to see you.
Hi Anthony.
So if you have 30 days or 60 days or
Jeff has 1 year. Woohoo, Jeff.
Jeff, all right. I think we're hey,
awesome.
How you doing? I think
John has 9 months.
John Ward,
yesterday.
9 months yesterday.
Woohoo.
Congratulations.
Oh,
and
that's
Denise, 1 year of non-smoking.
That's amazing.
That is huge.
Good job, Denise. I'm so proud of you.
Yes.
Heather Finch, 25 years. What? Woohoo!
That's like a quarter of a century.
I know. Tina has 9 years.
Hey, all right.
Let's see, Heather.
Hello, Laura and Kevin. So Jeff is 1 year.
Okay.
John is 9 months. We owe you coins. You know, we're writing it down. Denise has 1 year. Heather has 25 years. You got that. Tina has 9 years.
Okay.
Ben has 3 months alcohol.
Ben,
yes.
Nice. Good job.
Good job, Ben.
Those are the hardest.
Yes.
That's awesome. Woohoo!
Next thing you know, it's going to be 12 years, buddy.
Yep, that's right. And Jillian has a year. Woohoo!
All right. Jillian and Jeff says, I have 1.
Nice.
My 1 year?
Yep.
And Lori is Lori's with John. 9 months.
9 months. Whoa, Lori. That's awesome.
Is that 9 months of putting up with you, John? Or what? Oh, 9 months. Okay. We'll just celebrate it.
All right.
Oh, and Jeff says he has a coin. He has a coin.
He has a coin?
Yeah, it's the last one in the world. He got the last one.
John says yes.
Yep. Cool. All right. Well, some great celebrations there.
That's
Anybody
right.
else? Last chance? George has 90 days. Hey, way to go, George. Looking good.
All right, Lisa, that 21 would be, years.
That would be Chuck. Yep. I don't know. Okay. It's like his incognito.
Yeah. Well, don't announce it to the world.
Oh, then. Okay. Shh. Don't say anything about Chuck being under.
Congratulations, everybody. That is awesome.
Yes.
You know what? Keep getting your time because it's so fun to celebrate.
Yes.
And to recognize that we can make changes in our lives.
In fact, I have no things to rattle, but I've got your old like batteries here that you're gonna.
My old battery collection.
From a shake celebration. All right. Little prop action there. Okay, so chip party now. 8 principles.
8 principles. Okay. Last week you started off, so this week I'll start off. How's that?
Okay, sounds good.
Realize I'm not God. I admit that I am powerless to control my tendency to do the wrong thing and that my life is unmanageable.
Happy are those who know that they are spiritually poor. Matthew 5:3.
Earnestly believe that God exists, that I matter to him, and that he has the power to help me recover.
Happy are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted.
Consciously choose to commit all my life and will to Christ's care and control.
Happy are the meek.
Openly examine and confess my faults to myself, to God, and to someone I trust.
Happy are the pure in heart.
Voluntarily submit to any and all changes God wants to make in my life, and humbly ask him to remove my character defects.
Happy are those whose greatest desire is to do what God requires.
Evaluate all my relationships, offer forgiveness to those who have hurt me, and make amends for harm I've done to others when possible, except when to do so would harm them or others.
Happy are the merciful. Wait, did you skip one?
No, I don't think so. Nope, I did. You're
Happy
here.
are those whose greatest desires. Did I do that one?
Yeah.
Oh. Happy are the merciful. Happy are the peacemakers.
Reserve a daily time with God for self-examination, Bible reading, and prayer in order to know God and his will for my life and to gain the power to follow his will. Yield myself to God and to be used to bring this good news to others, both by my example and my words. Happy are those who are
Happy are those who are persecuted because they do what God requires.
We're not very good at this.
Oh man, okay. How can we mess that up worse? Hey, I think somebody's having a birthday today. Zach. Happy birthday, Zach. All right.
Happy birthday. Woohoo. Let's all sing happy birthday to Zach.
No.
Okay. Well, we wish you
happy birthday, happy birthday to you.
And we miss Cody had a year.
Awesome, Cody.
That's awesome.
Great job, man. Good job. All right. So we got you down. We owe you your coin.
Yeah, when we get back to Celebrate Recovery, you guys can come up again for these but we have to celebrate in the meantime.
That's right. We got to celebrate along the way.
That's right.
Okay. All righty.
So, one day. Okay.
What's
now
next?
We're going to do Getting My Life Back.
Oh, yeah. We're moving right along, aren't we?
We are.
Maybe we should do a song.
We should not do a song.
We shouldn't do a song?
No.
There will be a day. No.
We should.
No,
we
should
not do a song.
Oh, man.
We should have somebody over maybe next week to do a song.
There you go.
So maybe we'll do that.
There you go. We could have. Oh, Tammy is giving out ice creams and candy and all sorts of goodies. All right, Tammy, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is some really good stuff here. We decided to do something a little different today. You remember that back in, November? Sherry and I went to a John Eldredge conference, and he released his recent book called Get Your Life Back. We got a manuscript that was unpublished.
But we also got a copy, which you can now get
Ooh,
off of Amazon.
there you go.
Excellent
Excellent book. Yes, yes. Oh, look, Tish is trying to get you to sing. Yeah, ain't gonna happen. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna read a chapter with you and discuss it, and we have questions for you as we go through it. So I'm gonna read the first part kind of quickly, but really think about this, and as you hear this first part, the question we're going to talk about is, how are you reminded of what God is really like? Okay. So this is chapter 8 of the book called Remembering Who You Love. I received a text the other day from a friend of mine. It began as a surprising intrusion of joy, which grew into a rescue of my soul. First came simply a photo taken from the window of a bush plane somewhere in the Alaskan wilderness. At first glance, I couldn't quite make out what I was looking at. All I could see was a massive mountain slope angling down towards a river. The impression was something far north and exotic. There are no trees in the photo, only tundra and autumn colors. The picture was taken from probably 17,000 feet, and something is dappling the surface of the tundra on both sides of the river. As my eyes adjusted, I realized I was looking at a massive assembly of living creatures, something out of Eden. While my mind tried to take in and sort out what I was beholding, the second text followed. 90,000 caribou stacked up for a river crossing. It filled my heart with joy, not only because I love wildness and massive animal migrations, but because it reminded me of the God I love. And oh, how good it is to be reminded of the God we love, what he's really like, how generous his heart is. I had a similar experience a few evenings later when Stacy and I were watching a BBC nature series on the oceans of our planet. Richly filmed in high definition, intimate and epic, the vast, colorful beauty of the seas, coasts, and coral lagoons saturating this planet was enough to evoke worship during every episode. The seven seas are gorgeous. Talk about abundance. This particular episode was shot in the open ocean and was utterly breathtaking, and a massive pod of dolphins began to fill the screen. 50, 100, 1,000 dolphins all racing along in the open sea, twisting, leaping, diving, in a sort of organized, whimsical chaos, racing along in pure dolphin happiness. The narrator explained we were watching a superpod of Atlantic dolphins 5,000 strong. I was speechless. Such things exist? That encounter, that revelation was so holy that it removed in the moment every doubt I had in the goodness of God. Right, this is the God I love, I thought to myself, and my heart came back to him in tender hopefulness and affection. So the first question we wanted to kind of wrestle with a little bit is, how are you reminded of what God is really like? And is there anything in your experience? Thomas wanted us to sing.
I know.
Yeah, that doesn't remind us of God. You would start like howling, like, it would be a bad experience. So we want to talk about Jesus right now.
And Joe joined us.
Hey, Joe.
Well, I'll answer that question.
And feel free to text with us.
Yeah. It feels like John is saying that nature really reminds him of who God is. And that is certainly something that when I get out on a hike or I see plants growing in my garden, I'm constantly reminded of who God is.
He talks about like the abundance,
Yeah.
Like we're always worried about scarcity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Scarcity of coronavirus drugs, to treat, the governor of Cuomo in New York is talking about the scarcity of respirators and stuff. We're always worried about scarcity of food or different things, and one of the things that we see in nature that God is abundant, right?
I was going to say something.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So another way for me that I absolutely love and what I do in counseling is when I see somebody get this aha moment, like they've just been changed by the Spirit. For me, that is just so, I love that so much. And I just see God at work. And it's like one of my favorite things to know that God is what he is really like, that he really wants goodness for us. So that's for me.
And Lori mentioned that sometimes when she visits her boy's grave and it's a rainy, terrible day, when I get there, the sky's clear and the sun shines on me. He makes my visit comfortable.
That's sweet.
Yeah, that's
yeah. It's like God visits us.
Yeah, he meets us in that special moment. Yeah. John says the things I think about and try to do adds to it in a way I couldn't have planned if I wanted to.
Isn't that cool when God arranges something for you like that?
Yeah.
That is cool. It's like he's a part of your day, you know?
Yeah.
And he cares. That is cool.
Yeah, and like the spring is coming, all of my flowers are starting to come up.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh man, I'm not having, I put the seed in the ground and put dirt on it, and God rained on it, and now he's causing it to grow. And there's an expectation and excitement.
Yeah.
These are going to be coming up.
Yeah. And this is an important discussion when we're talking about recovery. And the reason that is because we tend to relapse when we're stressed, when things aren't going our way. We forget God is for us. And we need to be reminded during this very stressful time what God is like. This is an important discussion in our recoveries, because we've got to be reminded that God is for us, that he is with us.
And that he's good.
And
you could see that. And Chuck mentioned his dog, Buddy, reminds him of God's unconditional love. Every time I come home, Trinity is happy to see me, even if I've had a hard day. That's a good one.
Yeah.
So what we're talking about is finding more of God. I assure you nothing, absolutely nothing, will bring you more of him than loving him. Turning our hearts toward God in love opens our being to receive him like no other practice. And it is a practice, something we consciously and actively engage in through the moments of our day-to-day. This is the epicenter of the book, really, the core from which all other truths flow. But I saved this chapter to now for several reasons. Most of my readers will be people of faith backgrounds, and as such, you have heard so many messages about love or loving God, God is love, that your soul has formed a kind of callous, and it can be kind of callous to the beauty of what such words really reveal to us. We are too familiar with the conversation. Almost dare we admit we're a little bored with it. So I waited until now to try unlocking this treasure, because your soul needed some time to recover and heal through the practices we've already looked at. And that's the early part of the book. We also needed the transition the preceding chapters have provided to help us disentangle from the world, including the religious world, which runs at basically the same pace as the rest of the mad world. And right now, man, the world is mad. I can only watch the news a little bit. I've really been, it's been overwhelming, all the, the suffering and then all the economic destruction that's going on, and people losing their jobs. There's 10 million people that have filed unemployment this last 2 weeks, and it's just overwhelming. Yeah, very much so. But I mostly forestalled this moment, this most essential of all truths, because our souls have built up some resistance to it because of the disappointments of our lives. And we need to proceed with gentleness if we might open this greatest gift of all. So the next section here is loving who and why. I mentioned that our beloved golden retriever was dying. We lost him in November. A few weeks earlier, one of our horses sustained a near fatal injury. I feared we would lose him too. It caused my heart to question God's love for me. Sorrow always does that, doesn't it? as does suffering and chronic disappointment. The heart reacts by pulling away, not perhaps so far as to abandon faith, but still, something gets in. Some wounded doubt about his goodness, and more, but pointedly, his goodness towards us in particular. And really listen to this carefully, this next paragraph. Life has a way of eroding our confidence in the goodness of God. What a ridiculous understatement. Let me try that again. Life is a savage assault, striking at random, poisoning our heart's assurance that God is good, or at least good towards us. This makes it so hard to find more of God, to receive Him in fresh and wonderful ways into our being. So it's here we must seek healing, and now is a good time to do so. So the question that we're going to be asking from this section is, what are some things that break your confidence in the goodness of God? What are some of the things that break your confidence in the goodness of God?
I think for me, it's when my plan doesn't happen, because my plan is good. I think most of the time my plan is a great idea. Or when real hurts happen,
Yeah.
So like, why would God allow that to happen?
Yeah. Well, with this coronavirus thing,
yeah.
It's like, I mean, you hear, particularly you hear that it's, gets into, like I heard back into Kentucky or something like that. There was these two nursing homes that are 10 miles apart, and there was a phlebotomist that helped, takes blood and does all this work. She's a medical worker, and apparently she was asymptomatic, but spread the coronavirus into both of these things,
homes.
these nursing homes, and now a lot of people are, getting it. So
yeah,
the death of
your children. Yep, death of your children, death of anybody, really. I mean, it brings that question to us all the time. It's like, it's so unnecessary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're just difficult things, like I know that I've struggled a lot over the years with choices that I've made. Like I've been making, like I'll make a choice and go do something, take a job or move somewhere, or, some big decision. And, I'm seeking God's wisdom, asking for God's guidance, and then, I do it, and then something bad happens, or, doesn't work out. And, and then I kind of start questioning God. Well, why did you allow this to happen? Or, I look at, some things from my past, why did you allow this to happen, God? And so I start asking those why questions that don't always have an answer.
And even if they did have an answer, it probably wouldn't satisfy our soul.
Yeah. John mentioned other people's actions towards me and others.
Yeah, and Christy mentioned traumatic reminders of the past.
Yeah, memories. We've talked about, inviting Jesus into those broken memories and places in our heart to bring healing.
It takes work to do that, though.
It does. It does.
They come at us. Those memories can come at us, oftentimes uninvited.
Yeah. So he goes on here to say, allow me to explain, and continue to put comments in there. That's great. We'll get back to you. Allow me to explain an essential dynamic to the soul's relationship with God. Then perhaps we can gently open our souls to the exquisite experience. More of God, and one of John's things he's talking about here is that, one of the things that we need to be asking from God is for more of Him. Asking for more of God in our lives. It says that the Holy Spirit indwells us, and that we are a temple of the Holy Spirit, and that we share in the divine nature. There's some spiritual reality there. And so just asking God for more of God. So he says, more of God comes to us as we love God. The more that we love God, the more we are able to experience Him. part of this has to do with the nature of God, and part of it has to do with our own human nature.
You know, I think that's a really important point to talk about a little bit. Because,
well, he's going to unfold it a little bit.
Okay. All right.
You want me to read just a little bit more?
Okay.
Okay, I'll read a little bit more and then we'll unpack it.
Okay.
So you understand from your own relationships, your story of love, that you don't give your heart away to just anyone. You don't give access to the deeper places in your soul to just any idle acquaintance. Certainly not to someone who is at the same time keeping themselves distant from you. We know from our own experiences that when someone loves us, we are much more ready to make ourselves available to love them. What we keep forgetting is that God feels the same way. In 2 Chronicles 16:9, it says, "For the eyes of the Lord range throughout the earth to strengthen those whose hearts are fully committed to him." Psalm 191 says, "The Lord says, I will rescue those who love me." In John 16:27, it says, "The Father himself loves you because you have loved me." Let me do this.
Well, I think we're moving on then to that next question.
Okay, well, let's unpack this thing.
Yeah.
So more, you were wanting to unpack, more of God comes to us as we love God. The more that we love God, the more we are able to experience him. And part of this has to do with the nature of God, and part of it has to do with our own human nature.
Yeah. I just see it as we really have to participate in that relationship with God. That's what he's saying very basically there, right? Because oftentimes what I see with a lot of people is they want to be rescued. They just want life to work out for them. They want
I'll do your rules, God.
Right.
I'll go to church. I'll read my Bible, and then you got to do your part and just make my life easy.
Yeah, and I've been there.
Make it work.
I've done that before.
Oh yeah, we've all been there.
You know.
Yeah, we want to make a deal,
and it makes sense. It's like the other day I was getting ready to feed my dog. She understands English when we say it's time to eat, and it was so funny. She like, to get me to give her food, she like sits and then she spins around and then she puts up her paw and she lips her jaw and she's like, "What do I have to do to get you to get me my food?" You know? And it just reminded me of my humanness, that I do that with God sometimes. It's like, "God, I want this thing. So do I have to sit and stand and spin? And what do I have to do to get you to get me this thing?"
I'll go to church every week. I'll read my Bible. I'll do my quiet time.
You know, and that's not relationship. That is, I want what I want, and I want the outcome of my life.
And I want you to give me this.
Lord. Exactly. And I think what John is saying here is that when I actually love God, and, you know, when I admire,
worship him and adore him
and look at the beauty of the nature around me and be inspired by him, I am entering into relationship with him. And when I do that, it's like all those things that I wanted, they don't even matter that much.
They're not as important.
They aren't as important.
And God gives us the desires of our hearts anyway. It says, if you delight yourself in the Lord so that he may grant you the desires of your heart.
Yeah. All right. We have a lot of comments here. This is great.
Okay.
Let's see. Let's go back up a little bit. Oh, wait a minute. Okay. People's actions towards me. Yes. That hurts.
We got that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. My past.
Oh, yeah. Okay. My past.
Those are things that challenge our confidence in the goodness of God. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I ask for more patience and grace with people. Yes. We also partner with more patience with people, with God. We partner with God with that.
Yes.
And when I doubt myself. Yeah.
And just when I doubt myself, because that's that questioning of self.
Yeah. That's
so
good guys.
So here's John goes on. He says, "I'm really surprised that the human race expects God to pour himself and his blessings into their lives when he is not even the slightest priority, let alone a close and dear friend. Would you give the best of your life to people who couldn't care less whether or not that you exist?" Now listen to this, because this is might challenge a little bit your thinking. God's outpouring of Himself is conditional. Let me
Say
repeat
that
that.
again. Yeah.
God's outpouring of Himself is conditional.
What?
He already says, I know. We've been told all about the unconditional love of God. Absolutely. His grace is unconditional. His forgiveness is available to all, and
Yep.
it's unconditional, right? And
Mhm.
we could never doubt that,
No.
right? God's
Yep.
grace, His forgiveness, His salvation, it's all unconditional. However, intimacy with Him, the treasures of His presence, the outpouring of His vibrant being into our thirsty souls, that's for those who love Him,
Yeah.
right? There's a participation. Even in the best friendship, the act of giving and receiving love ebbs and flows with the willingness of the two that are involved to make it a priority, to invest themselves. God's heart is very much like yours in this way, for your heart is made in God's image.
Yeah. That's good. He wants relationship with us. It's not about getting God to give me my dinner for the night, you know.
Yeah, it's not just about transactional relationship.
Common grave and common provisions are unconditional.
Grace,
Oh,
common grace.
Okay.
And common provisions are, yes, yes, very much so. Yes. Common grace, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I was common grave. Okay.
Okay. So the next question is going to be, how do you experience loving God? Right?
Yep. Taisha says it's so good that God's love is conditional. Yeah.
Well, in terms of what we're talking about
Yeah.
here, right? In terms of intimacy, right? His love for us, His grace is unconditional. His forgiveness. I don't want to be misunderstood in that, right?
Yeah.
But he's talking about intimacy, right? If you're angry with God, right? If you're doubting His goodness, if you're upset, and I've gone through that a lot in my life, um, if you're in that situation, you're not experiencing intimacy with God,
Right.
right?
Right.
You're not, oh Father, and just, when we doubt His goodness, we tend to pull back. That's the normal human response is, we don't give of ourselves,
Right.
because we're afraid.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why perfect love drives out all fear.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. He goes on, one of the things I love about horses is that they don't let you get away with much. If I show up to the stables hurried and distracted and therefore try to rush my horses through a time of interaction, they don't cooperate. If I'm angry, they pick up on that. If I don't really want to be there, they sense that too. Horses exist outside the mad world. So if you would enjoy the riches of a life with them, you can't insist that they enter your madness. And good for them. Of course they shouldn't. They deserve more. To enjoy the fellowship of a horse, you have to step into their world, and they are happy to meet you there, which is yet another expression in nature of the heart of God. Whether or not you currently, in this moment, love Him matters to Him. Let me repeat that again. Whether or not you currently, in this moment, love Him, it matters to Him. It matters to God. It matters very much, right? And so, is there any comments on the question of how do you experience loving God?
Well, not quite yet, but Lori said that I'm a work in progress. Aren't we all?
Yes.
I have been angry at God. Me too.
Yes.
But as I give more of myself and open up, I see good things happening. That's so good, Lori.
And that's what's great about recovery, right? Is we're learning to be honest, right? We're learning to be honest about my struggles. And the first step, I acknowledge I'm not God. I know that I'm not, don't have the power to control my tendency to do the wrong thing. My life's unmanageable. So I'm getting honest about these things.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm getting honest with others. And I'm getting honest with God. I'm getting honest with myself.
Yeah,
Right?
that's honesty's the truth is where it's at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
John
go ahead.
said that you can't negotiate a relationship with God. Boy, you cannot. God is always going to win, right?
It's going to be on his, it's on his terms.
It's on his terms.
It's his terms.
Absolutely. Yeah. And Shelley said, worship songs say things that my heart wants to share with God.
That is a great, oh, what a great comment.
Yeah.
That is so true. I mean, every morning I take about a half an hour and I walk the dog and I listen to worship songs as I'm walking. I used to listen to podcasts and stuff, but then I started realizing, I need some more time to just like worship God. And lately I've been listening to John Eldredge, and it's been great.
Yeah. So how do you experience loving God? Worship songs?
Yes.
For sure. Yeah.
Definitely. That's huge.
How else do you experience loving God and being in a relationship with him?
There's been experiences where I've experienced healing. I've mentioned inviting Jesus into those broken places in my memories and my life from my past. Just ask God to bring his healing.
Yeah.
And I've experienced that and experienced the benefits and blessings of that. And I really experienced God's love, just kind of coming over me.
I experience God through people, right? We are Christ to one another.
Through others, yeah.
Yeah. Chuck says daily devotions.
Yep. Just meditating on what God has done for us. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And through God's provision,
through his word,
through his blessings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And direction, when he gives direction, clear direction to me. I always love that. I feel like I'm experiencing God. How else do you guys experience loving God?
All right, let me keep going.
Okay.
This is really some good stuff.
Christy says, giving God the first 15 minutes of my day. That's great.
Yep. Excellent. Now, on our side of the exchange, loving God opens up our soul to the presence of God and the gifts he has for us. Remember, your soul is the vessel he fills. We're trying to use these practices to help position our souls. And one of the practices, that we mentioned to you guys before is the 1 minute app. And just during, gratitude every morning, Jen says.
Mm-hmm. John says, I experience God's love through and loving him by doing and helping others. That's great.
Yeah,
and Jessica
definitely.
said, my devotions by worshiping God first, then prayer and reading. That's awesome. Those are great ideas, guys.
So we're trying to use these practices to help position our souls into the place whereby we might receive so much more of God. There's no practice that facilitates the opening of our capacity to receive him and receive him like the turning of our hearts and souls towards God in love. Active loving. Love as a verb, not as a noun. This is what we're made for, and the soul knows it, even if it's long been unused. We know it even though we've pulled back in our own sorrow and disappointment. I love how wildflowers track the course of the sun through the sky, slowly turning to face the warm, passing brightness from east to west, in such a sweet act of humble adoration. Many flowers fold their petals inward in the evening, through the chilly nights at the 7,000 feet, then open again with the rising of the sun and turn in its direction. In fact, there's a hymn called Hearts Unfold Like Flowers Behold You. It says, melt the clouds of sin and sadness, drive the dark of doubt away, giver of immortal gladness, fill us with the light of day. And it's hearts unfold like flowers before you, opening to the sun above. So that's it. We need the clouds of sin and sadness melted away. We need the dark of our doubts driven off like night flees before dawn, so that the giver of immortal gladness might fill us.
That's good.
Any other comments?
Yeah, I've got a lot. I think about all that God has done in my life. Yeah, so remembering
being thankful for the past. Yep.
Yep.
Remember.
Monty says turning to Him when things are not right. That's exactly what our hearts need to do, right?
That's what we need. That's what we're learning in recovery.
I experience God when I have peace and joy. Yeah, that's good. Zach says staying in constant communication with Him throughout my day.
Yeah, just praying, talking to God.
That takes some effort on our part to do that, right?
Definitely.
That's good. Heather, I love letting God work through me when I work. Yeah, right? That's good. Michelin, through people's generosity from Shad.
That's Denise.
I know.
Oh, from Shad. Okay.
Yeah.
Through other people's generosity. Yeah.
Towards us. Yeah. Ellen says, I think Josh was the one that said that God's love language is obedience. I can feel His love soon after, or sometimes long, long after, I have been obedient to His word and guidance.
That's a good word. That's a good word. Sometimes when I have failed, I don't feel that, and I need to repent, and I need to confess, and go through what we learned in CR about making amends if need be, if it's another person's involved.
Yep. Shelley says to give thanks. Thanks be to God for setting me free from blank and setting me free into newness of blank. Whatever.
Yep.
When I do this over and over, I experience His love. Absolutely.
Amen.
Through our own service and giving. And Joe says, loving God by loving others the way He wants me to.
Amen.
Loving others. That's great. Those are all good things.
Yeah. So bringing our hearts back around. So this is some practices that we can, some other things we can do.
We have about 5 minutes. So why don't we wrap it up?
Start with something you love. The laughter of your child, sunlight on the ocean, your beloved dog, a favorite song, music itself, perhaps a photo, a favorite spot, your garden, the cliffs at the sea, the family cabin, someone dear to you. We begin with the things we love. This is the way back, the path home. For we don't always draw the connection. God made those specifically for you, and He gave you the heart to love them. You'll be out for a bike ride in the early morning, cool breeze in your face, all the sweet, fresh aromas it brings, the exhilaration of speed, and your heart spontaneously sings, I love this. Well, the next step is to say, so does God. He made this moment. He made these things. He is the creator of everything I love. Your heart will naturally respond by opening towards Him. In fact, it says in Psalm 145, and this is God, speaking of God, you open your hand and satisfy the desires of every living thing. And then James 1:17 says, every good and perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, guys, this is such an important discussion, is how do we stay connected to God the Father, especially during times like this?
Yeah.
Because it is these times, if you've lost a job, if you don't know where, the toilet paper is coming from, right?
Or you have loved ones.
Or you have loved ones.
People that are dying.
That are sick.
In the country, but not, luckily, praise God, in this area, we've been spared from that, but parts of the country have not.
Yeah. My sister knows 3 people have died already. But this is what sends us into relapse, is when we don't have control, when we start spinning out and our brains start thinking all the negative stuff. This is what sends us into relapse. And the thing that we need to do is we need to reconnect with God, the love of God, and worship Him even in the midst of the chaos. That's what's going to keep us, back on, staying on the path. Okay. And so that's why we wanted to bring this message to you tonight.
Yeah. I mean, the next section, which we didn't really get to, which is loving God in your suffering, I'll just read this part. We won't go
Okay.
into detail, but loving God in your suffering. Stay with me now. Your heart is the greatest treasure you have. Without a heart, it's impossible to love or to receive love. Without a heart, you can't possibly dream, hope, laugh, find courage. Without a heart, you will never be happy. Your enemy knows this. He knows that he can use your suffering to both shut down your heart and turn you against God, if only subtly, in doubtful hurt. Listen to me carefully. You must not let him. You must guard your heart with everything you've got, especially in times of disappointment and pain. Your secret weapon against the enemy's hatred is to love God then and there in the midst of your sorrow, whatever it may be. And I think there's a lot of sorrow going on right now.
There is a lot of sorrow. There's a lot of fear going on right now. In the midst of our fear, we want to be able to connect with the Lord.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's an important conversation. So,
and last week go ahead and finish that, because we forgot to do the Serenity prayer last week. So we're going to do that in the end.
All right. I just wanted to remind everybody, for anybody who came in late, that what we were reading from was this book by John Eldredge, Get Your Life Back. Excellent book. We highly recommend. It's been really good for our souls to sit in it and read that and be encouraged by it. So
yeah, very good.
Yep. All right. Charmian just said that she spends time on purpose with God by reading his word. That's obedience. And then my mind is open and I experience him. And John says, God is busy. You have to seek him.
No, he's got lots of time for you, though, John.
Yes. But you do have to seek him.
But you do have to seek him.
Yep.
It says, seek first God's kingdom and his righteousness, and all these other things will be added unto you.
All right. Lori needs the Zoom link. All right. Oh.
She's talking about for next week, right?
No, for the Zoom link for the step study.
Oh.
Okay, here it is. All right. So that's all we got for you guys tonight. It was super.
And Lori will send that to you.
Laura will send it to Lori.
Oh. Okay, they've got it. Okay.
Yeah.
They're just talking to each other.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So you guys ready for Serenity Prayer?
Okay, I'm going to hold it up. All right.
We haven't figured out how to share the screen yet.
Next week, I'm going to share the screen.
Does this show backward, or does that?
Oh, it shows backwards. Bummer.
I don't know.
Okay, you guys are going to have to read it.
Yep. Hopefully you've got it memorized. Ready?
God,
grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardship as a pathway to peace, taking as Jesus did this sinful world as it is, not as I would have it, trusting that you will make all things right if I surrender to your will, so that I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with you forever in the next. Amen. What is this version you said? It's like third person.
All right.
All right. Hey, God bless you guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I'm sorry we can't give you a real hug, but here's a virtual group hug. Virtual group hug.
We're going to hug the computer.
We're hugging the computer. All right. God bless you guys.
All right.
And
you're welcome for doing this.
If you're doing a step study, it's going to start here in 8 minutes. So there you go.
Yeah.
Love you guys. Bless you all.
Okay.
And
we're praying for you guys too, just so you know. We're
definitely praying for y'all.
Yeah.
And I think we have a new record. We had 35 people. Woo, woo, woo. And there's more than one people.
It's going viral.
It's sometimes, so there's more than that.
Yep. So I will send out a link each week.
Yeah, check out the Facebook, right?
Yeah, it's going to be on Celebrate Recovery Moscow on Facebook. But if you would like for me to send you a link each week, then email me at exec.director at projecthopeidaho.org. And also, again, one more time, next week, we're going to start Zoom rooms for closed open share groups. If you want to be a part of that, email me to that link or to that email address, and then I will send you the information that you will need to join an open share group. All right? So you're welcome, guys, for doing this.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Thanks for your prayers.
Yep.
And
we'll see you.
Yeah, we'll see you next week. We'll let you go.
All right. Cheers.
God bless.